Hello, and welcome to Page Turners, a bookish podcast. Each week we choose a different book, and then we come together and we talk about it. Just think of us as your book club, Fae. You can read along with us and berate us for our wrong opinions, or cheer when we get it right. Fair warning, there'll be spoilers. That's Liv.
And that's Amy.
Hello.
Hello.
It's been so long since I've spoken to you.
I know, but we do have something to talk about.
We do.
How was the Eras tour?
Woo! Well, that was. I tried not to do the
Whoa,
usual sound. I panicked. It was amazing. Absolutely loved every single minute of it, and got to hear some of my favourite songs live. Edinburgh Night 2 for any listeners. Anyone else who experienced it? Yeah, worth every penny. So good. Absolutely incredible. 3.5 hours.
I think you said $3.5 grand.
No. No. Yeah, she's pretty impressive. Great times.
Yeah, it did look very impressive. I'm not a Swiftie. I love her. I love her songs. I think they're great. Mm-hmm. And I'd say I'm not a fully converted cult Swiftie.
Still time to go though. You can go if you can get tickets to the next London shows in August.
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, great times. But it felt like a workout. Like the next morning I woke up and I thought, oh my goodness.
Was your throat a little?
It was killing me, and I actually thought I had COVID because I heard of quite a few people who went to Edinburgh Night 1 who tested the next day and were positive for COVID, and I thought, oh no, please tell me no, but it was all good. It went away the next day. It was just concert fatigue, riding the high.
It's just the adrenaline loss.
It really was. It was a come down. What have you been up to?
I mean, nothing as fun as that.
What have we holiday?
We went to London Pride.
Tell me about it.
It was great.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was our first London Pride, despite having lived there for 7 years. But a lot of people who do live in London will know that you don't really tend to go into the centre of London during the weekend, so we tend to always miss it.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
That and the fact that Alex and I were massive homophobes until last year, basically.
Yeah, just jumping on the train now, really, aren't you?
And that's what it is. It was all performative.
Yep. No, was it good though? Did you enjoy it?
No, it was great. 2 of our friends were in the parade, which was really special.
Oh, that's
we got
nice.
to see them. It was a big group of us, and then we went for some food and some drinks after and some dancing.
Just good vibes.
Yeah,
Just fun.
It was just a really nice day. It was weird. We were sort of towards the end of the parade, like at the barrier, and across the way was like a big wooden cross at some point. And it started to move through the crowd, and we were like, "Oh, please don't be a protest. Like this is, come on, this is not the day.
Not the day." But it wasn't.
But it might have been, but it was definitely nothing happened in our eye view.
Okay.
So yeah.
What have you been reading?
I have been reading When Among Crows by Veronica Roth.
You kind of.
Since we read
Is it
Poster
fair
Girl,
to say? You've rediscovered?
back on that VR train.
And how is it going?
I mean, it's a very small book, but I'm only a few chapters in, but it's fucking great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Cannot say more than that.
No? Okay. Loving it.
Everything you expect from Veronica Roth, you get.
Elevated? I felt like Poster Girl was a bit elevated.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I don't know. Obviously, that's fair, right? Divergent is like a kind of...
Yeah,
different audience, certainly.
Yeah, Divergent. I wouldn't say it's for children. I mean, more like
I know exactly what
for
you
the
mean.
younger audience.
Yes,
but yeah, no, Poster Girl was definitely. Yeah, I'd say this is probably. I'd say on the same level as Poster Girl. Bit more for an older crowd. But I mean, I'll tell you probably off air.
Oh.
how I enjoy it later when I'm finished.
Okay, I love it.
What about you? What are you reading?
I am reading. I don't know. I did that. I feel like there's a lot happening. No, I've been reading the Harrow Fair series. By Catherine Ann Kingsley.
Excellent. I've never heard of it.
Spooky, sexy circus vibes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a big series. I think it's maybe 6 books long.
Okay.
But I have the Kindle version where it's all the books in one file.
Oh wait, no, this isn't. No, okay, yeah, no, I think I mixed this up with one of our Patreon episodes about monsters.
You absolutely have, but I can see where you've got that mixed up, because it's like, yeah, it's very much a kind of dark romance, and it is. I would say it's not fantasy. I would say it's more like paranormal. You don't know what kind of creature the male love interest is, but he's certainly something.
Okay, all right.
Summon. He's dark. he's a puppet master.
Yes, he is.
And he has strings that he can use to manipulate people. And I'll leave it to your imagination how those are utilised later on in the series.
Okay.
It's a good time.
Well,
it's a good time.
We're being heated up by the sun through our window and by the content. Anyway, oh, yeah. Should we get to it?
Let's do it.
After that, how will anything compare?
So, Liv, tell the people, what are we talking about this week?
This week, Amy and people, we are reading The Cruel Prince by Holly Black.
Oh. Our first reread.
Yes, our first whole series read. It will become inevitably.
Yeah, let's just let you know that in advance. This one isn't going to go away. So if you haven't read it and you don't intend to read the series, the next potentially two, maybe 3 episodes are going to cover the series. So
really, you must say to yourself, this is a podcast of quality. This is a podcast of class. I know you already have that opinion. So you've got to be thinking to yourself, if you're not getting on this train and reading this book, it's on you. Absolutely.
Isn't this a ringing endorsement? Must be, right?
Exactly.
No, read this one for sure. Yeah, a reread for us. Well, actually, a second read for you, a third read for me.
Yeah, I read this in 2018, 2019, potentially.
Yeah, it was first published in 2018.
So it's been about 6 years, and I didn't even reread them when the others were coming out.
Oh, okay.
So I just raw dogged it, which is not the expression, but
yeah, you didn't want to do the whole going back.
Nope.
Oh, actually, this is a bit of off topic, but it's something that is relevant to this. Recently, I've noticed in some mainly fantasy books, actually, there's a summary that the author has put at the beginning of the second or third or fourth book.
Yes, at least Cova does that.
Yeah, what do you think about it?
I fucking love it.
I love it too.
I respect it. What I like about that is them saying, I know this is a slog. I know it's been a year.
And that's on me.
Yeah.
The delay's my fault.
I don't know though, is it? Do you think I've never heard of like an author under a publishing house pulling forward a publication date other than Iron Flame Fourth Wing. That was pulled forward, but otherwise it's always pretty rigid, right? And that I wonder if that's on the publishing house rather than actually on the author.
Maybe Fourth Wing and Iron Flame felt like there was very little gap between them at all.
I think there was about 5 months, 6 months.
That's probably the quickest.
Or it was pulled forward 5 months and it was about 7 months. But
I very recently had a book that I was highly anticipating reading pushed back to end of the year. It was meant to be coming out a couple of days ago, and I was so excited for it to drop on my Kindle, and then it never came, and I was like, oh no. And then I had a look at the Amazon, and it was like, yeah, this is going to get delivered on the 31st of December.
What is it?
So you've got A Touch of Iron, A Kiss of Poison.
You reread these as well.
Yeah, ready to go.
In preparation. Oh.
Yeah, it's got one of the best shadow daddies of all time in there, Bastian.
There you go then. What another ringing endorsement.
Yeah, but maybe wait until the end of the year when the third and final
book is out.
Yeah,
fingers crossed it doesn't get pushed again.
Probably not. Yeah.
Anyway, yes, the summary is really good. There's not one in this.
No.
Or in the next two. But we didn't need it because we just went boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, we did.
The Cruel Prince. How would you describe The Cruel Prince in 3 words?
I would say intriguing.
Okay.
Like luscious.
Okay, intriguing, luscious.
And sexy.
Yes.
What would you say? It's a great question.
Enticing.
Love it. Yeah.
Delicious. And political.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I tried to not go completely like food sexual oriented.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just such a, I mean, intoxicating is another word.
It's a great word for it, actually. Yeah.
Like, it's...
What's the little Lee Bardugo?
Lush, dangerous, a dark jewel of a book.
I mean, that sums it up, doesn't it, really?
It really does. And I think what we must talk about is the fact that this came out 6 years ago, and I think this paved the way for Fae.
Oh, whoa.
That could be an oversimplification of the whole thing, but I think this, for me, was one of the first introductions to Fae kind.
This is what I imagine Fae to be like in reality.
As realistic as you think this is,
it's going to get.
Holly Black has created the world, and the lore is so tight, and no, I have to agree with that.
It's dark.
Mm-hmm.
They're cruel.
Yes.
They don't really have the same kind of morals as humans.
They lack emotion.
Yeah, and when you think about so many times in like in fantasy romance, the Fae is oftentimes paired with a human partner. You can just kind of see why that doesn't, unless you know how their world works and what their kind of motivations and things are. You can really understand in this book why that wouldn't really work. Yeah, because they see humans so lesser than.
And I think that it works in a way because our main pairing of Jude and Carden, like people will be saying this, but Jude's with him. Say yes, but Jude has been raised in Faerie, and the things she does throughout the trilogy, she is almost more Fae than some of them are.
Her behaviours and how she conducts herself and like the decisions that she makes are very. You can see she's been shaped by the Fae. Yeah.
Almost like she's meant to have lived there, meant to have been there.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay.
So we obviously meet Jude, her twin sister Taryn, and their half sister Vivi.
At the very start when they're young,
and they're in the mortal world.
Oh wow! What an opening to this book.
Oh, they're in the mortal world with their mortal parents.
And suburban America, nice happy family setting.
Yeah, we don't actually get a lot, really, to be honest. We just get told that they are where they are, and they're about 7, 6 or 7 or something. And Vivi's a little older. And then all of a sudden, there's a knock at the door. Jude answers.
Nice.
And
it's
his stepdaddy.
I mean, yeah.
Well,
it's explosive at the beginning because we get essentially. Well, we get a double murder, don't we, right off the bat?
Yep, Maddock, he is a red cap.
Yep.
And the different factions that Holly Black creates within the Fae. So Maddock is green, skinned. He's almost like orc-like, or he's a bit more goblin-like. And he's a red cap, which means they have hats or caps that they wear that they dip into their enemy's blood.
Yeah. And
it's never washed, it's just soaked, and they have almost this propensity for violence, this like lust,
bloodlust,
for war, for strategy. Thank you, bloodlust. Yeah.
I love Holly's writing anyway, but I love this opening prologue because of it, because it's almost like fairy tale-esque. It's like on a drowsy Sunday afternoon, a man in a long dark coat hesitated in front of a house on a tree-lined street. So like very kind of pedestrian, not much happening. And then the last line of the whole prologue is Jude and her sisters wept the whole way to Faerieland. It's like that. It's quintessential kind of,
as if that prologue's written for children. Like, but to scare children.
Yes.
It's not overly complicated.
The cautionary tale.
Yeah. And the term, even Faerieland, is quite juvenile.
Yeah. And they're having such a human experience, very kind of mundane. Like they're having, I think it says they're eating fish sticks and ketchup in the living room, and then he comes in and kills their parents. Like, wow, what on earth is going on?
But it's a brilliant beginning.
Great.
And then we meet them 10 years later, roughly. 10?
Yeah, about 10 years later. Yeah.
We might have the years completely off, but Jude's about 17.
17.
16, 17.
Yeah.
And we find out that this whole time she's lived in Faerie, and
she kind of settles into her life. Like we don't, and I like that about it. We don't join her when she's 17 and she's still sort of mourning her parents and still hateful towards Maddock, and she's still like finding it hard to fit in that way. Like obviously she's not fully accepted, but she has made a life for herself.
Yeah.
And, it's a good life.
Yeah.
On the surface.
I mean, if anything, Vivi, their eldest, who is half Fae, half mortal is the one that hates it there.
Yes. Yeah.
She rallies against Maddox. She doesn't attend the balls, doesn't really attend school, doesn't want to do as his heir, doesn't want to do any of that shit. Whereas Jude is so desperate to be a part of the world, to be accepted, to be wanted and trained and a knight and
she's
recognised.
She's got ambitions in the world. Like she can see herself belonging there. She's trying to carve out a little pocket of it for herself, isn't she? And she wants to be a knight, and it's not like she's looking to escape. She's not trying to get back to the mortal realm or anything.
Neither's Taryn, to be fair, her twin sister. But she wants a love story.
Yeah. She wants a fairy prince again, or
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get introduced to
who you talking about?
Just little fey prince.
Is it Carden Greenbrier?
It is indeed.
And he is quintessential prince, spoiled.
My ideal, when I'm looking for like, what trope do you want to read about? I want to read about like a spoiled brat of a prince who wants and gets whatever he likes, but he can't have her.
This for me was probably the original male character that I read that I really fell in love with.
Me too. Yeah.
He is everything I think I want in fiction, but not in reality.
Not in reality at all, but absolutely in fiction. To read about it is just yes.
Well, I think, and forgive me if I'm wrong here, I didn't think the bullying was as bad as I'd remembered.
I mean, the first time I read it, I was like, oh, whoa, like that. But I think because you know how it's all going to turn out,
maybe there's a softer element to it.
Yeah, you think, well.
And he does,
Carden.
I do think at the end of the day, she's never in any danger.
I don't think we'd ever let it get that far either. So we get introduced to him and his gang. They're kind of part of the court. Well, he's a prince, but
he's a prince.
The others are
Nicasia, which is Queen Orla's daughter.
Yeah,
who's Queen of the Undersea. So Nicasia is a princess.
Yep.
Valerian is like a general's son, and then you've got Locke, who is a fox-faced bastard.
Yeah.
Locke is like a noble's son as well, but his father is dead, and so is his mother. He doesn't live with anyone, really.
No,
He's the heir of his own estate.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so they're all kind of like obviously a royalty or the nobility. Like, they're the popular kids. They're it's that kind of high school hierarchy at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
Fairly harmless.
Yeah, I would say so. Well, except for Valerian. You always get the feel almost immediately that Valerian is the bully romance. Like, he's cruel, he's cold, he'd kill her if given half the chance. But, so Jude is desperate to fight in the tourney, almost like an exhibition match.
Yeah, she's been kind of brought up by Maddox, been taught how to fight, and like she just can't wait to prove herself. She wants to be able to have that moment to be like, I'm as good as all of you, I could beat all of you. And
her rights is fairly exceptionally skilled.
Absolutely. Oh, Jude's badass.
Yeah, she is.
She can handle herself for sure. We know she wants to join the tournament. Maddox doesn't want her to.
Yes.
That's where the kind of conflict comes there, because Maddox very much becomes like a father figure. Is that fair to say?
He doesn't not want her to fight. He's happy for her to fight. He just doesn't think it's appropriate for her to go out and try and get scouted to be a knight.
Yes.
That's what he doesn't want.
No. He's not supportive of that side of things. But he doesn't mind. He's trained her.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's happy for her to compete, if that's what she wants to do.
Do you think there's ever an element of Maddox wants her for his own plans, so therefore doesn't want her loyal to another?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of conflict in Maddox's character, and I think a lot of it is that he is a victim of his own nature. The fact, that he's a red cap, and it's almost like fighting that instinct that's within him anyway. But I do think he has a soft spot for the girls.
Yeah, I think he's also very honourable.
Yes.
And I think there's probably a part that plays on his honour for the reason that they live with him in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah, because he didn't kill to be necessarily, well, it's cruel, but he didn't kill purely for those reasons. He did it because he wanted to restore his honour.
Yes, absolutely. And he he saw Jude's mother. So basically, Jude's mother runs away with Jude's father, taking Vivi with them, fakes her own death, puts a body there. So for years, Maddox thinks that she's gone. And then he's told by Balkan, one of Cardan's elder brothers, that basically if he goes to a certain address, he'll find her.
Yeah.
And he does, and that is what we see in the prologue. And I have this belief that he probably, like you said, wants to restore his honour, but also sees it as a slight done to him that he needs to take revenge for.
And to be fair, I mean, Vivi is his child,
daughter,
right? The twins aren't.
No.
So he could have killed them.
He could have, yeah.
He could have left them there to fend for themselves.
Are we justifying here?
A wee bit, but yeah, I think he's a very interesting character. It's not as black and white, and Holly's very good at characters like that, I think. There's a lot of depth to everybody.
Yeah, I also think by not giving us any sort of real memories of Jude's family, of Jude's mum and dad, we don't really get that sympathy for them when they're dead. Mm-mm. You know, the fact that it's done quite quick is almost like ripping off a band-aid. Yeah. And we're like, oh shit, okay, moving on.
Yeah. She doesn't dwell on them.
No. She doesn't dwell on them as much as somebody you would expect someone to. Whereas Taran and Vivi, I would say, potentially are a bit more...
Yeah. Caught up about what's happened. For sure. Yeah. So, the king announces he's... We don't really know
off into oblivion.
What's happening there. But essentially, there's going to need to be a new king, and he's going to choose which of his children will succeed him.
Yes,
because it doesn't work the same as typical kind of.
Yeah, it's not the eldest. He passes it on.
Yeah,
and then he goes off into the night up to that special farm where you know that he's okay, and he writes you emails every week.
That's it.
Letting you know what he's doing.
Absolutely.
He's definitely not been flushed down the toilet. And it's more of a foregone conclusion. It's not. What I like about it is that it's not a, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? It's Dane. Dane, who is not the eldest, or is the eldest?
I'm not sure if he's the eldest, but he's definitely who the king wants. That's it. Like, there's no kind of ambiguity there. It's like, that's my choice. That's who I'm picking.
So Jude sort of sees this as an opportunity, and gets given an opportunity by Dane to spy for him.
Yeah, that's it. And she feels that, well, if I think about my trajectory of becoming a knight, I want to get there at some point. This is a stepping stone in that direction. So that's why she decides she wants to do that. Yeah,
and she basically gets indoctrinated into Dane's Court of Shadows, which is his spy network, which hilariously has 3 people in it.
I know.
4 when you get Jude. Something we forgot to mention is the reason he wants her is because mortals have the ability to lie, whereas Fae cannot lie, which just provides incredible insight into each character as we go on throughout the books and throughout the plots. It just makes for some really sultry and quite, tense scenes.
Absolutely. And really adds an extra element for Jude in that she can be manipulated. So although she is part of this, well, on paper, she's very much part of this world, she still has to wear protective
the rowan berries
items and things, because she can never really truly trust them. They could still manipulate her. They could still use magic against her to do what they want to her, basically.
Yeah, they can suggest
things,
and mortals will do them. That's why they salt their food.
That's it. They don't drink wine.
Keep it safe. They wear the rowan berries, that sort of thing. But she asks Dane for a boon for becoming his man, essentially, and he puts an enchantment on her that means that nobody can manipulate her.
No.
So basically she goes and she does a few missions for Dane, and then we find one of my favourite scenes in the book is when she goes to Hallow Hall.
Why is that, Liv?
Because she inadvertently finds herself in Cardan's bedroom. Hollow Hall, sorry. Not Hollow Hall. She finds something on the floor, on the piece of paper, she stuffs it into her dress. But she has to hide, and she hears Balakin trying to teach Cardan the sword. He's not very good. He beats him.
Yeah, we realise that Cardan's been kind of abused significantly.
Yeah, our poor little broken boy.
Yeah.
But then she gets home, she finds the parchment and she realises that he has written her name over and over and over again. And I love how it's shown in the book. As just like it's done to be different text, and it's written as if it's on a piece of parchment, and it's just got blood splatters. Ink splatters. As
I can imagine he's been like carving it in, like
again and again,
like getting that frustration out because he wants her and he shouldn't want her, and she's lesser than him, and yeah. I think it's so. How masterful is that, though, to sum up the sexual tension in literally a bit of paper? With her name written on it.
I mean, so this is page 140, and we're well into just he wants her.
That was my first kicking up my feet moment of that book for sure. When I was just like, okay, I'm in. And I know people at the moment, Laura, are listening to this in an audiobook form. Just be careful though. There's a few things like that. Just be careful that you don't miss those little details.
For sure. I wonder whether Laura will be able to tell us the audiobook. It just goes Jude.
Or does it just say written?
Well, it says Jude. It reads, each hateful rendering of my name like a punch to the gut. I just don't think that hits half as much as the visualisation.
Not when you see it, because I think she feels, obviously it says that she feels it's like, he hates me so much, he's writing my name, it's and we know
this is
he's
obsession.
Like
It's almost
obsessed with you.
It's almost adulation, like praise.
It's like
and
praise.
Just idolatry.
Yes.
Of just writing it again and again and again and
it's
again.
It's like she's just in that, she's in there and she's in, there's no getting her out.
He's throwing out praises, he's praising her, for sure. Right, yeah, so let's skip forward a bit in the book. With this boon, she doesn't really know what's going to happen. Then we get to see this sort of wonderful manipulative side of Jude where Valerian will not leave her alone. And she sort of, Locke and her are having this relationship. This little kissy every now and again. She goes to his estate. She sort of hangs around with her bullies. Let's call them bullies just for the sake of grouping them.
Yeah.
And she gets a bit drunky.
On the Faerieland.
And her and Locke have a few kisses, and she watches Carden as she kisses Locke.
Isn't that a great trope, though?
So good.
I mean, horrifically toxic.
Oh my god.
We love it.
And also, it's nothing that Locke doesn't deserve.
Oh, absolutely.
So we get this sort of this idea that Locke likes her, but it doesn't. It never seems true. It never seems genuine to me.
No. Interesting though, because when I was reading it, there was never any point that I thought Locke could be the romantic interest. It's not that kind of thing. It's not where you think one thing and then another tall, dark and handsome, morally grey character comes to the fore. It's not like that. We know she's using...
He's a means to an end.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, so good. So that's... Yeah, I guess we get that sense of, as you say, she kind of starts to sort of socialise with the bullies, which is...
And you see that Carden treats her less and less and less, as if she is the enemy. It's more sort of abject disdain that he just lets her be.
Yeah.
But then we get Valerian, who tries to kill her.
Different side of things, much darker.
Tries to compel her off the top of a tower.
Yeah.
But she has his boon. She tells him to fuck off, stabs him in the neck.
Yeah.
And then he crawls into her bedroom, and she has to kill him. And he spends the whole night dead under her bed.
She's badass.
Told ya.
Yeah, I think she's one of those characters that, you always know in fantasy where an author really wants their character to be badass. Whereas in this book, Holly absolutely delivers with that. Like,
oh, for sure.
Jude, everything Jude does, says, what she thinks about, it's just like she's a strong character.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the best thing about it is she's also not 100% sure of herself.
Oh no.
We get, because it's written in first person, and it's from Jude's point of view, we get an awful lot of her thoughts, her lack of confidence, her crises.
Yeah,
in her head, and the way that she feels like Carden.
And she kind of doesn't, she kind of feels disdain towards them, and it's like, I want to be better than them. But then also, it's that feeling of, what did she ask for? She asked so that she would never, she wouldn't be compelled by them. So there's obviously that side of things where there's that little bit of insecurity there, where she knows she's not as powerful in that way as them, and
yeah, she's trying to get herself onto an even footing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all the way through this book as well, we have this element of political intrigue of who's working with who's gonna be next on the throne. We think it's a foregone conclusion, and then we come to the coronation. We have Dane, who gets completely naked for some reason.
Yeah.
And essentially,
he's ready to be.
Yeah, he's ready to be crowned.
And we think it's a lovely celebration. Everybody in the kingdom's there. It's like, okay.
Jude has that fucking lovely dress. Wonder who that was sent by.
Oh, who could it be?
And also, you think, like, the best thing about this book is it's fantasy, it's political, it's intrigue. It is written for a higher audience, but then also the romance is just like...
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, there's so much in there that's not said that is almost hotter than what is. Like,
yeah.
What's on page, like, it's what you imagine is way... what's not included is the bit that makes you go...
Exactly.
So good. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to the
coronation. Sorry.
And basically what happens is, long story short, Balin, and Maddox have made a pact, and they basically slaughter... Well, Maddox kills Dane.
Yep.
And then Balin kills his other sisters.
Yeah, basically all the siblings
leaves Carden alive.
And there's a reason for it.
Yes, because a Greenbrier can only crown another Greenbrier.
Yeah, so basically he can't be king unless he is crowned by a blood relative. Yeah. So it's not because he's merciful toward Carden. He's not. It's also because I think he feels he's literally the weakest and the least of a threat to him. It's like, well, I'll leave you alive to do this bit because what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, exactly. And then the court erupts into chaos. And Carden slips away. There's this wonderful little bit where there's this forced sort of allyship between Jude and Carden, and they get themselves out of there. She takes him to the Court of Shadows, ties him up, sits on his lap, and puts a dagger under his chin, and honestly, he is eating it up.
Oh, and I love it because she's still like, we are enemies, like, you would do this to me. It's like, he would literally lick your boots if you let him. Like, this guy is down bad. And she just doesn't get it. And I love her for it.
She doesn't.
She's so, it's great that she's flawed. She doesn't think, like, oh, do you like me? Like, she genuinely thinks he hates her.
Yeah, which is just hilarious.
He's just, like, salivating on the chair, like, yes, mummy. Great.
The bit that I have here, oh really? I don't know about being angry. I don't know about being afraid. You're not the one bargaining for your life. That's really why you hate me, I demand. Only that. There's no better reason. For a moment I think he's ignoring me, but then I realise he's not answering because he can't lie and he doesn't want to tell me the truth. Well, I say, lifting the crossbow again, glad to have a reason to reassert my position as the person in charge. Tell me. He leans in and closes his eyes. Most of all, I hate you because I think of you, often. It's disgusting, and I can't stop.
There's so much of that.
Kicking heels,
so
baby.
Much of it. And the eye closed because he's fighting against his inability to lie, and he's trying to obviously think, how do I tell the truth without... Because he's a tricky fae, and they've got all the tricks of the trade on that side of things.
And she's just there like, you're playing me, this is crazy. And then she looks at him and she's like, you do want me. And you hate it. And he doesn't look nearly as alarmed by that as I might expect.
Yeah, because he's probably like, yeah.
Not nearly as alarmed as when I bring my mouth to his. So good.
Yeah. They are such a hot couple. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway.
Yeah.
We're going to get a lot of this in this one. It's going to be a funny one to edit. Just started making noises.
But it's ultimately then the whole crux of the story is that whoever holds Carden holds the power.
Or so we think.
There is obviously the twist where you discover that Oak is a child of the Greenbrier line and has the capabilities of crowning the next king or queen of Melfheim.
So Oak is kind of like, so he's Jude's step brother.
Sure.
Not half brother.
No, well,
No,
he's
no,
separate because
yeah.
he's not related
No.
to. You think he's Maddock and Alaria's son,
Yeah, something like that.
And-
Right, yeah.
but then you find out that all the way through this, you find out about a story of Locke's mother and Prince Dane, and that is the union that birthed Oak.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, Oak.
I know, he's so cute.
He's so cute. He's so like a little evil fairy too. You're like, oh.
He is also so evil, yeah.
Aw, he's so evil. And Jude loves him.
Yeah,
like really does. And so we learn that there's someone else that could crown.
I mean, Maddock is power hungry, and he wants Oak on the throne and him as regent.
Yes.
Jude has to essentially. She recruits the Court of Shadows because they were loyal to Dane. And they are just incredible characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the best written and best supporting characters that I have read.
And they absolutely, like, Jude is better for them being in the story. They're not there. They're there to do their own thing.
Yep.
And they do that very, very well. They're also there to support the leading characters.
Yep.
And it's just done so well because at no point do you feel that they stop existing when Jude's not doing her bit, you know, like they've got their own motivations, their own sort of character arc and their journeys to go through, and it's just so good.
It is really good. So basically, Jude tricks Cardan into serving her for a year in a day.
Yeah. Very fairy tale, isn't it?
And yeah, her plan is to essentially, well, her plan to everyone is to put Oak on the throne.
Yeah. That's the plot, isn't it? That's the kind of conspiracy there.
That's how she drags Maddock into it. And then we have the most amazing little sword fight scene between her and Maddock. And you think, oh, what the fuck's going to happen? And you think, oh, she's going to beat him. And you know eventually that she's not. He says, what are you going to do? You're not going to beat me. And she's like, I don't need to beat you. I poisoned your fucking wine, mate.
Yeah.
And he says, what do you mean? How would you know which one I took? And it's the classic, it's Princess Bride. I poisoned them both.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's been drugging herself.
Yes.
Every day. With little pieces of food.
Yeah, they've got a name for that. I can't think of it. It's a great word as well.
It is a great word.
But yeah, basically she's been building up her tolerance to poison, hasn't she?
Yeah. It's just so underhanded. It's so assassin-like. It is exactly what you want from Jude, and the fact that she's a spy, and it's just perfect.
And we learn that we don't fully know her either. You know, it's like that sense of we knew what she was doing, we didn't really know why she was doing it.
Well, we think she's doing it to avoid compulsion, right, or to avoid being under a lack of control ever again.
Yeah,
because there's that horrible scene where they force her food at the school, and she's
and then humiliate her. Yeah,
yeah. So we think she doesn't want to be seen as that again. It's just so practical and so perfect.
Yeah, exactly. It's not because she's so pragmatic. It's not because of the fact that she might look bad or that someone might humiliate her. It's because she's got a much bigger plan in her head. Yeah, my goodness, what a book.
And then ultimately we end the book. It's perfect because Cardan thinks that he's showing Oak what to do. And instead, Oak crowns Cardan king. And he is under Jude's thrall for a year and a day.
So she is the power.
The puppeteer. She is, well, for all intents and purposes, the king of Elfheim.
Yep.
What a fucking end.
Yeah.
It's maybe not how we necessarily do things, but I would like to flag who I consider the villain through the whole series.
Okay.
It's Taryn. I fucking hate Taryn. She is nothing but a coward.
She's very cowardly.
In the first book.
Yes.
In the second book. And it's only in the third book when Jude forgives her, despite the fact that she shouldn't have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That she becomes anyone. But at the same time, I just think she is the fucking worst because Jude would do anything for her.
Anything. Jude is so loyal to those that she loves, and she would do anything for them, and she doesn't really get that back from really any of them.
Yeah, Vivi is way too caught up in her own hatred of Maddock and her own wanting to escape to the mortal world. Taryn is too busy searching for her fucking love story to bother with Jude. And then when she finds it, she selfishly wants to take it and wants to keep it and wants, will do anything. And so she watches Locke with Jude and lets him kiss her and lets her feel safe. And then it's revealed at the coronation ball that Locke is promised to, well, they've promised to themselves and to each other that Taran and him are going to be married.
Yeah, it's gross.
That whole element of her being like, oh, when the girls are all like, oh, who is it? It's fucking Locke, innit?
Obviously, because it's a kingdom and you know everybody that's in it. Like, it's not like this big, who could it be? Like, there's like one court. I feel like we know who it is.
Yeah, it's not another bloke who lives in Canada.
No, no.
But yeah, no, I consider Taran the biggest villain.
I'd agree with that, and I love the fact there isn't really a big bad in this story. It's more political than that.
It's more Jude gaining power and keeping it.
Yeah, because she kind of gains power, as you'd alluded to at the end there, quite early on in terms of a 3-book series. We end with her in quite a strong position, and it's more about how does she then keep hold of that power.
Yes, especially considering her plan is she intends for the crown to eventually be given to Oak.
Yes.
But in 7 years' time, 7 or 8 years' time, when he's old enough and he's had some time to live in the mortal realm, to sort of be able to bridge the gap and be a kinder ruler.
Yes, and learn that actually can't have human slaves that they enchant and bring to Elfheim, and let's go for a different path. Let's think differently. So it's like that's a significant amount of time, not for a Fae, but for Jude.
Yeah.
To try and keep hold of that bit of power that she has.
Especially, considering what's going to happen post, Carden is not happy that she has him under her,
which is fair,
control. And I think he fully intends to do nothing. I think he says to her at the end of the book or something, like he fully intends to not be a nothing king, and she will do all of the work.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we won't talk about that yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, for me, Cruel Prince, you could probably end it after the first book and it would be satisfying.
Yeah, totally.
I would want more.
Yeah.
But you could have a story that is, good triumphs.
Totally tied up in a bow by the end, really. I want more of the world, so I'm very happy that there are more books, but absolutely, if it was standalone, I think it's a masterfully done standalone. I don't think it really leaves too many loose ends. The ones that it does, it makes sense because it's a bit ambiguous, and it's like, well, how is it going to happen? Like,
oh yeah, don't get me wrong, it works. It is better as a trilogy. But if we were talking about a cult little book that didn't get the following, and I would still love it.
Absolutely, would love it. Yeah.
But who is your favourite character in the first book? And this can obviously change as we go through.
It's probably Jude in the first book.
Okay.
Because you get such an insight into what she wants and how she does it, and the fact that takes her own berries, and there's so much sympathy in that character, but she's also so strong that you would never, she's not a sympathetic character in that way. You don't feel sorry for her as such. She's not a kind of, it's not like she's pathetic, and you're like, oh,
and you
Jude.
Only feel sorry for pathetic people.
Of course, yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's hard won. Everything she gets is hard won, and I love the fact that you didn't really know her. You thought you did, but you weren't quite. There was still that little bit at the end where it was like, oh, okay.
I always enjoy a first-person narrative where you don't know everything as a reader. Hard to do. Yeah, because we're constantly inside this character's head.
But you could easily dislike that character if you actually find out at the end that they have been hiding something from you. You could be like, oh, well, no. But you'd never feel that way with Jude. No. I don't think.
No, I think she is incredibly strong. She's incredibly capable. Mm-hmm. And I have to agree with you. She's my favourite in book one. I think if I had to pick one that wasn't Jude, the Roach.
Fair enough. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or the Bomb.
To be fair, yeah. The other spies are, as you said already, some of the best characters, and they are very much supporting characters. We said it already, but it is important to remember. I would say this is definitely fantasy first. The romance will come, but it's not a straightforward romance in any way, shape or form. There's a lot going on.
It's when it says enemies to lovers, it's enemies to lovers. Like, it's not enemies to lovers.
Oh no, it's enemies.
They spend a lot of the trilogy enemies.
They do.
And even when they're lovers, they're still enemies.
They don't trust one another fully.
No.
It takes such a long time to fully believe that Cardan loves her.
And I was wondering whether that is a part of herself as well. Whether she's been lesser than her whole life in Faerie, that she considers herself lesser than. Because we said that she thinks like a fae, so she herself hates her own mortality, hates who she is.
Yeah, and you won't get pages upon pages, even later on down the line, of her waxing poetic about him and how much this and that, and the way we usually get that monologue part where it's like, oh, he's this and he's this and he's so hot. You don't get that. She doesn't, almost like she doesn't allow herself to feel those things out loud.
Yeah,
because she can't quite believe
but
it
also,
could ever happen.
But also, it's a foregone conclusion because he's one of the fae.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
it's the fact that he's pretty or, you know, drop dead gorgeous is
it's almost irrelevant, isn't it? Because everybody is.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that I think it's second or third where she does single out him as being the most, like, it's better than she's ever seen, you know, which is, yeah, fantastic. Cardan is the chosen one girl trope.
Yeah.
He is the
Cardan
most...
is so baby girl though the whole time.
Oh, Cardan is baby girl.
And I love that. He just lets her go be badass and do her own thing. It's not like he's the morally grey enforcer and he's the one that's, you know, like, he's the head of the knights. Like, he's a spoiled little prince that is scared.
Can't sword fight.
No.
She swords fights, you know, like, yeah.
You know, that's his thing. Like, if you imagine him, if you look at any of his fan art, he's typically, like, lounging on a sofa, eating an apple.
Having
like,
some wine.
yeah, he's
and
just
he is
loving life.
Extremely effeminate.
Yeah. God, yeah.
He crosses androgynous boundaries like no other male sort of fantasy romance character I've ever known.
No, he's not like the masculine man. Like, no.
But do you perhaps think that he is more masculine than others because he is effeminate?
He's very secure in himself, right?
100%.
And it's Jude because it's Jude, not because she's like the prettiest girl, or like you don't really see that side of things with him at all. It's just like there's more to it than that. But yeah, I love Cardan, and the fact that he is just so unapologetically like quite useless and like just a bit like, yeah.
Some of my fave bits is when he asks the roach to teach him to like pickpocket and steal and everything, and he continues going through the series stealing and honing his skills, and it's just, and he doesn't want to do it because he wants to be useful. He wants to do it because he wants to cause chaos.
Yeah, he is like the proper little trickster.
He is very, yes.
He's very fey, like the whole time. But yeah, there's never a point where who's the more powerful, who's the more like badass between the two. He doesn't want to be. He's quite happy to let her have her moment in the sun.
Yeah, and
he'll just, like all of us, just watch her in awe.
All right. Favourite scene in Cruel Prince?
The murder of Valerian.
Perfect, because we get to see Jude sort of becoming a part of her own and becoming quite but despite that, actually, it is quite an interesting scene because it is self-defense. You know, and she does do the classic thing where she's sick.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it makes sense. Like, you don't want her to be.
I hated it in the last book we did, but you know.
I know, but I feel like you don't want her to be like complete, because she is human, and I think it's nice to have nods of her humanity every now and again, despite how much she doesn't want to know about it and doesn't want to be mortal, and also has to be the part you read. Yeah, it's got to be up there, and the finding Jude. Yeah.
So when I was like your favourite, you picked 3.
I'm sorry. I can't do one. For different reasons, I think.
Okay.
What about you?
I think it's got to be from the coronation ball, and they're under the table together, and they crawl, and they hide in the field, and she goes and speaks to the other members of the fair court. And he tells her who to go and speak to.
Yeah, okay.
She realises that he's not entirely useless.
Yeah, Yeah, no, okay, that's a good choice.
Thank you very much. It's a lot of scenes. It's a few chapters long.
Yeah, but you like the idea that she starts to learn that there's more to him.
Yeah, she finally sees him as, he's being told by Baelkin that he's fucking useless, and because he doesn't understand brute force or brute strength or anything, but he has the power for intrigue. Like you said, he's a trickster fae. So he knows exactly who to charm, he knows exactly how to act. It's very, I think we'll talk more about Wicked King, obviously in the next one, but in Wicked King, he very much embodies Hamlet. He plays the fool for an awful lot of it, and I think there's an element of all of Carden playing a part in each book.
Yes, he's actually quite, as much as he's one of my all-time favourite characters, he's actually quite a difficult character to pin down. Like, if you're going to say, well, tell me a bit about Carden, it's like, well, it's hard to say, because as you say, you don't really know to trust him. Like, he is very much the trickster fae. We don't know which part he plays, and it's interesting because only really Jude gets to see him and what he's actually
like. She sees
like.
every side of him.
Yeah, and accepts it all.
Oh, and we love it.
Yeah, we love it so much.
Alright, well, that's the end of part 1. Reckon we'll probably do Wicked King and Queen of Nothing in one episode.
Yeah.
So this could be one of 2. If we do get through the second episode and it's just too big, we'll end up being one of 3. But you love it.
Oh, so. Yeah. If any book series deserves this treatment, this is the one.
So true. Obviously, we're back from a little bit of a hiatus. It's been a couple of weeks now, but we hope you'll join us over on TikTok at Page Turners Pod, and Instagram at Page Turners Pod. Email us.
Please email us.
No one has emailed us.
I love checking the inbox and then being terribly disappointed that nobody has emailed us.
Podcastpageturners@gmail.com. Maybe it's because I never give people the right email address.
Maybe. No, we'll put it in the... I don't know what I'm doing that for, but that's like the description. It'll be in there. We'll put it in there.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Even if you just want to tell us what you're reading, we don't care.
Yeah, please just tell us. And if you've... Yeah.
Or if you've read one of the books that we have read on the podcast and you vehemently disagree, let us know. We'll read it out. Why not?
It doesn't have to be this book. You can tell us about any book we've read.
Any suggestions you have for future books?
We would love to know those, because we just decide what we want to read. So we'd love to, if you have something in mind, then please share it with us.
And as long as it's not shit.
Well, yeah.
I know that's subjective.
We try and avoid those, but
anyway, bit of a lackluster ending, but we'll see you next week for part 2. Happy reading.
Bye.